Greetings all, I am Anime Otaku Drew. As you all surely know by now, I am a huge fan of Star Wars, so I'm sure you can imagine me watching with bated breath as the latest episode of The Mandalorian Book of Boba Fett unfolded before my eyes just a few days ago, ultimately leaving us with what seems to be a major crossroads. Now, for anyone who has yet to watch the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 6, I recommend that you add this video to your watch later list and go check that out. Firstly, just because it's an amazing piece of Star Wars content that you as a fan owe it to yourself to watch. But secondly, and more important to the purpose of this video, because I will be discussing important plot points from that episode with full spoilers. Then, after you've watched that, come back and watch this video. If you don't want those spoilers, right now is your chance to click away. And I look forward to you returning once you're caught up into Book of Boba Fett, Episode 6. Okay, at this point, it should just be those of us who have already seen the episode and or those who don't care about spoilers. So I can now proceed without holding back. As you know, this episode allowed us a glimpse into Master Luke Skywalker's Jedi training of Grogu in a sequence that gave a lovely callback to The Empire Strikes Back as Luke himself trained under Yoda. During that training, the Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, arrived to present Grogu with a gift, but was stopped short of seeing him as Ahsoka Tano pointed out that seeing Din again would only confuse Grogu and make things harder for him. Recognizing the wisdom of this, Din reluctantly gives the gift to Ahsoka so that she may relay it to Grogu, then leaves with a heavy heart without having seen the child he has grown to love as his own. Ultimately, Ahsoka passes Din's gift on to Luke, who opens the gift to reveal a beautiful shirt of Beskar chainmail, which he presents to Grogu along with Master Yoda's lightsaber, and a choice that feels like it was ripped straight out of the opening sequence of a video game. You may choose only one. If you choose the armor, you'll return to your friend, the Mandalorian. However, you will be giving in to attachment to those that you love and forsaking the way of the Jedi. But if you choose the lightsaber, you will be the first student in my academy, and I will train you to be a great Jedi. It will take many years for you to master the ways of the Force, and you may never see the Mandalorian again. Because, Grogu, a short time for you is a lifetime for someone else. Which do you choose? We are then left with the question unanswered as Grogu looks carefully at each item before once more turning to Luke, and the screen goes black before the end credits of the episode begin. In the few days since the episode went up on Disney Plus, everyone in the Star Wars fan community has shared their opinions on what choice Grogu should and will make, and when we will see that choice, with the overwhelming majority seeming to be of the mind that the best path, and most likely to happen, is that Grogu will choose the Beskar and thus be returned to Din in next week's season finale of the Book of Boba Fett. I fully acknowledge that this is a very real possibility for the direction the story could go, as it seems obvious to us, the audience, that Grogu must be reunited with Din Djarin and be raised in the way of the Mandalore, and if the story does go in that direction, I'll be fine with that. However, as some of you may recall, I am also a writer, so I frequently have a rare point of view that looks beyond the easiest and most obvious solution to find what would make for the most impactful and entertaining path for the audience while still being believable for the story and the characters. And it is that writer mindset that has led me to what I think is the most likely path forward, as well as the best way for the story to be told. So, what I think would make the most sense for Grogu's choice, and what I actually want to see, is for Grogu to choose the lightsaber. Calm down for now. I want to see Grogu choose the lightsaber for now. I agree entirely that Grogu does need to return to Din, but now is not yet the time. This makes the most sense, both for the character and the story. It is definitely the most logical choice for Grogu once you really think about his mindset. The last time he saw Din was encouraging him to go with Luke and learn the ways of the Jedi. Furthermore, we just saw that Grogu sensed Din's presence as he flew away in the N1 without actually seeing Grogu. And with Grogu's connection to the Force growing, we can pretty much infer that Grogu was able to feel Din's disappointment. Now, we know that that disappointment is because he did not get to see Grogu. But now let's look at this from Grogu's point of view and put it together the way he would see things. Mando Daddy wants me to learn how to be a Jedi. Mando Daddy was just here, but he didn't come see me. And he felt sad. It must mean that he doesn't think I'm ready. So I need to stay here for now and learn so I can make Mando Daddy proud. The pieces all fit perfectly. And on the story side of things, it then allows us to have parallel storylines in The Mandalorian Season 3 to mirror the storytelling in The Empire Strikes Back. Half of the season follows Din as he deals with all of the things we know have to be coming his way, as well as inevitably plenty of others that we can't even guess at right now. Just as after the prologue on Hoth, half of Empire Strikes Back followed Leia and Han as they tried to evade the Empire. Meanwhile, the other half of the season, happening concurrently with and intercut throughout Din's story, consists of scenes of Grogu training with Luke and becoming stronger, starting his lightsaber training, possibly facing his own version of the cave, and things like that. Just like Luke's training on Dagobah. This all comes to a head with Grogu having a Force vision of Din in trouble, just as Luke's training was cut short by his vision of Leia and Han needing help, which will lead Grogu to don his Beskar for the first time and take up the lightsaber that Luke gave him to go save his Mando Daddy. There are two major reasons I think this would be the best path for the story, with underlying reasons beyond each of those. Firstly, I think this would be a beautiful reflection of Luke's own journey. It is a brilliant way to play off of nostalgia and the fans' love of The Empire Strikes Back without having to rely on the fan service of major cameos or guest appearances, though I am certain those things will still happen, and I will undoubtedly love every moment of it. It would also allow Grogu to further deepen his training and knowledge of the Force, while still ultimately bringing him and Din back together. Now, this is very important as I, and quite a few other fans, believe that Grogu is destined to become both Mandalorian and Jedi, just like Tar Vizsla, one day becoming the rightful wielder of the Darksaber and the leader that unites all of Mandalore. However, in order to become a Mandalorian Jedi, it is imperative that he gain a deeper understanding of the Force and how to use it, which he can't do as well if he leaves Luke. This choice would also mean that Luke's ultimatum is not Grogu's true moment of choice, but is rather foreshadowing that moment, which will come later on after Grogu leaves Luke to save Din. Once he completes that objective and Din is safe, it is then that his true moment of choice shall arrive, when he must decide whether to return to Luke and finish his Jedi training, or to stay with Din for good. This nicely echoes the choice Luke had to make in Return of the Jedi. After Han was successfully rescued from Jabba the Hutt, and Luke knew his friends were relatively safe, he then had to choose between staying with the people he loved or returning to Master Yoda to complete his Jedi training. Secondly, I think the parallel storytelling would be perfect for the third season of The Mandalorian. It will serve as an additional, though subtle, callback for fans of the original trilogy as they see the storytelling of the season mirror that of Empire Strikes Back, reminding them of the amazing experience that Star Wars can and should be. Additionally, it would be a very good decision for the tone of the season. Let's consider all of the things we know lie ahead in the forthcoming third season of The Mandalorian, along with things that are likely to happen. Din Djarin is an exile from his people, rejected from what is essentially the only life he has ever known, with his only path to redemption seemingly destroyed, which is already starting us off in a very somber tone. Bo-Katan still wants to become the rightful wielder of the Darksaber, and by extension, leader of all Mandalore, which means there is a very real possibility that this one-time ally may now turn against Din to further her own personal quest. We also know that Giancarlo Esposito is returning as Moff Gideon in Season 3, and there's no way Favreau and Filoni would go to the trouble of bringing him back just to show him sitting in a New Republic cell twiddling his thumbs. It seems extremely likely that Gideon will escape or in some way continue to pull strings for his machinations from captivity, leading the Imperial remnant into further troublesome actions that Din will have to deal with on top of the other issues at hand. With all of this in mind, to keep this season of the series from getting too dark or too serious for some viewers, with all of these troubles flying at Din one after another, having the gentler, relatively peaceful moments cut in regularly as we keep up with Grogu's temporarily separate path while he trains with Master Luke, will keep the tone of the series from becoming overwhelming. So, in conclusion, in light of the information currently available to us, this is the path that makes the most sense for the character of Grogu and for both the story and tone of the series of The Mandalorian. This is how I want to see things play out and how I think the story would best be served. If you've enjoyed this series, then go ahead and drop a like, share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas and points of view about whether you think I'm right, any thoughts you might have to add to my theory, or why you disagree. Additionally, make sure to slap the red off of that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. Currently writing a series that will end up 2 or 3 videos where I elaborate about how I think I figured out the plan for the Mandalorian saga. That is, The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, all of these interconnected shows that are leading up to one story. I think I've figured it out, and I'm going to share that plan in future videos, so make sure to ring that bell. I'm going to try to get that video series out before the season finale of the Book of Boba Fett this Wednesday, but no guarantees. Either way, I hope you all will join me again for that. In the meantime, y'all take care.